Today's episode is brought to you by Forvis Mazars.
SoundCartel.
From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. Nicole Kidman has had one. Celine Dion has also had one. So has John Travolta, Katy Perry and Lady Gaga. They've all ordered couture cakes from Paris Cutler, who climbed the dizzying heights of success with her Planet Cake enterprise. It spawned a high-rating television show on Foxtel, a series of how-to books, and the largest cake decorating school in the Southern Hemisphere. It wasn't all roses, though. Paris nearly went bust during the GFC, until some timely advice helped turn it all around. First, Paris takes Chris Ashmore back to the beginning when she wanted out of corporate life and to do her own thing.
I just really wanted to build something. And entrepreneurship wasn't a thing back then. So people say, oh, you want to run a shop? Is that what you want to do? But I knew inside me I wanted to be an entrepreneur. We just didn't have the language. And so it was a desire to build something and have the freedom to experiment with the ideas I had.
And cakes just happened to be the business model that you were looking at.
I wasn't a great inventor. That's what an entrepreneur was back then. All the famous entrepreneurs invented liquid paper or something, and I was trying to invent something and I couldn't. So the next idea I had was to find a business in an industry that really hadn't been corporatized, hadn't had proper branding or marketing attention, and use my entrepreneurial talents there.
And cakes were it, but as you say, it was something different than the normal cake shop.
It was a high-end decorating cake shop. There were only 2 in Sydney and there were virtually none in the rest of Australia. And they did an American style of cake, which is now, of course, very, very popular. But back then in Sydney cost you a lot of money. And they were American style in terms of that's the style that Martha Stewart had. So that high-end decorated novelty cake.
Right. There was obviously a craving for that kind of cake for those who had special occasions or weddings, that kind of thing?
I tell you what I was looking for. There was, but they didn't really know it yet. What I found during the course of my own wedding was that I got a great cake. It cost a lot of money, but the customer service was terrible and the design was a little bit kind of unfashionable. And I thought, what if we changed those things? We could end up with really high net worth customers that aren't getting that sort of service or that sort of fashionable branding right now. So they didn't know what they didn't know, but I was going to show them that they needed to have our cakes.
And you showed them, and the first few years, it just took off.
It did. I mean, it was a lot of work, and I don't want to give anyone the misleading idea that I was banking it and, you know, I was a big bowler. Every single cent went back into the business, and building the brands was difficult because we were also educating the market. I mean, or I don't like fondant icing, or my Aunt May is going to make a cake. But I got a lot of traction by finding aligned businesses who were going to refer me business in terms of brand leverage, but also that kind of circle. And I didn't focus on the food world, which was the mistake that I saw all the other cake shops made. I focused on the fashion world. So I focused on wedding dress designers and high-end couture fashion designers. And I went to Fashion Week with my little cakes. Everyone thought I was a bit of a mad, lady, but they loved it because I'd say, let me replicate some of your designs in cake. And so I formed all these alliances and they referred me all of their celebrity clientele.
Fantastic. And those celebrities were a good endorsement.
They were fantastic. So the first one was Beck and Leighton's wedding cake. If you can cast your mind back and remember when Leighton Hewitt was a big superstar, big A-list star. The next was Nicole Kidman, but my biggest breakthrough celebrity was Rihanna. As soon as I did Rihanna's 21st birthday cake, we just exploded. When I say exploded, I don't want everyone to think that the front doors of my shop flew off and money kind of rolled in. It didn't work like that, although I really hoped it would. But what ended up happening was we became the go-to. We became the darling of the media, and I didn't have to negotiate or explain high pricing anymore. People just got it.
Right. Now, things were cruising along pretty well, but then the GFC hit. Can you tell me about that?
Oh my gosh, that was so painful for anyone around that could remember that. I lived on gastro stop for about 8 months. I just expanded the business. I'd invested a huge amount of money again. I'd increased our staff by 20%, and I had a sales pipeline that was chock-a-block. Like, we almost couldn't take another order. The GFC hit, and I'll never forget it, August 2008, and within 3 weeks, the phone did not stop ringing with people cancelling their events and hence their cakes. And the worst part is we had taken deposits. And so we then had to refund everybody those deposits, and, it nearly killed me. So for the next year, we were in a very, very unstable position. I mean, I was going from week to week in terms of paying wages.
And then what happened? You spoke with your landlord.
So things, I'm sure other business owners, we never talk about this, but it's common knowledge amongst us that I reached a point where I was insolvent, almost insolvent. I was desperate, and I wasn't sure how I was going to pay my rent. So I went to my landlord, who was a very wealthy man, and with the idea that he was going to give me a period of grace or that he was going to invest in my business. And I was pretty sure I was going to be able to do it because I was so desperate I was going to give him 30% of my business for virtually nothing in order to do that for me. And he turned around and he said, I wouldn't invest $1 in your business. It's a dog. And my heart just broke, and I felt so humiliated. I could feel the ground opening up underneath me, and I was so tired and I was so stressed. But then he said, but I will give you a piece of entrepreneurial advice. And this is the type of stuff, guys, that you can't learn in books. And he said, what's something that you sell really, really easily that you may not be focusing on right now? And I just said, like these little kind of courses that we have on the weekends where we teach mums how to make children's birthday cakes. I guess them. But I mean, we don't make money out of them. We just do them as part of our marketing. And he said, but do they sell out? I said, yeah, they sell out. He said, that's your business. Your business isn't cakes. That's your business. I went back to the shop. I reinvented the brand and our service offering within a week. And within 6 months, I was already turning over $500,000 in courses, and within 2 years I was turning over 3 to 4 million in courses. It was really quite remarkable. It was his nous for identifying what was profitable in my business, because I was fixated and hyperfixed on a product that wasn't profitable.
Wow. What a lesson, though. But you had to go through the GFC to learn that.
Oh, whoa, yeah. That grew hairs on my chest. After that episode, I felt like a leader. The leader in me was born, and nothing ever rocked me again after that. It's just, I found myself and I earned my stripes, and I never questioned myself again after that.
Is a lesson there, diversification is important?
Oh, so important. Diversification is so important, not just in terms of revenue streams, but in terms of value offering to customers. So what we're seeing right now is a downturn in the market, obviously, and businesses like me who are only focusing on the top of the market, which is great in boom time, are left, cast adrift when they don't have any mid-market offerings. So even if you're a high-end brand, you need to have different points in the market that you pitch to.
And brand is important.
Oh, to me, it's the most important thing. I live and breathe brand. So other entrepreneurs are different to me, but I'm a blue ocean strategist. And so my belief is, and I've proved this time and time again, not just with my own businesses, but with businesses I turn around, if you can find the raving fans in your saturated market, you can go and dominate in a saturated market space. Meaning, if you have brand, you don't compete on price and you don't have to focus so much on selling because the brand sells for you.
In terms of cake making courses, I mean, they're high end as well. Who did you realise you were marketing to?
Oh, yes. Always the assumption is the mother of all. So these little courses, I thought, mums staying at home would like to make them with their kids, to make their kids' birthday cakes. So I started marketing to mums at home. And before I knew it, no mums were turning up. It was a completely different customer that was turning up. It was corporate women, really high end, with a lot of money to spend, and some corporate men looking for a stress release and basically occupational therapy. So I totally reinvented the pitch. The children's cakes were completely gone, replaced by kind of gender neutral, fashionable cakes. And we really, really focused on the customer service. So creating an oasis away from their stressful work. And we just boomed.
Fantastic. Now, eventually, you sold the business. Any lessons from that?
Oh my gosh, so many lessons from selling my business. First of all, don't think that you're not going to want to sell one day. I thought I'm never going to sell, or I'll give it to my kids. You will want to sell one day. Second thing is start 2 to 4 years ahead from when you think that you're going to want to sell, meaning always be prepared to sell. Start engaging the resources that you'll need and hire experts to sell, and then know that it's probably going to take 6 to 24 months to sell your business after you start the process.
Start planning now.
Correct.
Now, well, you've achieved a lot, Paris, but you're still young. What are you doing these days?
Oh my gosh, I have the most wonderful time these days. I still own businesses, which I adore. I still consult. People can reach me via LinkedIn, Paris Cutler. But my favorite job these days is the global ambassador for a VC fund called Zadazi, which operates out of the States and helps startup female founders with self-doubt and achieving their BHAGs and eventually VC. And we run quite a few events in Sydney and elsewhere around Australia, which are free. They're great fun.
That was Paris Cutler. This episode of Business Essentials Daily is produced by the team at SoundCartel. Thanks for listening. I'm Nicole Goodman. We'll bring you more Be Daily tomorrow. Follow at BE Daily Podcast across social media and head to bedaily.com.au for more from the Business Essentials Daily podcast. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Forvis Mazars. To find out more, visit forvismazars.com/au. That's FORVISMAZARS.com/au.